We'll start just at the top of my list, the executive board. So presidents, vice presidents, secretary, and treasurer. And Abiha, if you want to sort of share what your group discussion, any kind of takeaway points.
She's
Oh, you're on
mute.
yep, you're on mute.
Yeah, she's still muted. We heard you earlier, so we know.
Okay, we're good. We're good.
There
No,
we
the thing,
go.
my like cursor keeps going to my iPad and I'm trying to like bring it back and it's just a mess. But anyways, we had a great session. We had great questions. A lot of them were concerns about like starting. So for example, someone who's new in their position and especially a new chapter that they don't have anything to look back to. So we were talking about the website and that it has some resources on some ideas and chapters. And then I was talking about a transition document, which is something that my chapter is going to start so that like the people who are coming next to you will have an idea on what the roles can look like. And then there were questions about like what kind of events or what ideas can we bring if we don't have an idea of how it's supposed to look like. So we just discussed about having like an open list of things that you want to see, things that you're thinking about, and then bringing it to your meeting whenever you have it for your transition and then discussing it. So having your advisor look at it, be like, okay, this might work, this might not work. So yeah, just having like a huge list, like ideas are not bad. You can always have a lot of ideas and then see where they go. So yeah, it was a very productive session in that sense. And then we just shared the resources that are available on ALD and then my email if someone wants to reach out. So, and obviously Instagram because, that's where we are at. But yeah, that's what we talked about.
Great. Can you say more about the transit? You said there's a transition document or something that Converse has that they share year to year. Say more
Yeah,
about what that is.
we're actually doing this as a student government thing now. So every single officer will have a Google document that they will make on what they did for, and we're doing it in a way that you can either do like a monthly basis. So like in August, I was talking to an advisor planning this. This is what worked, this is what didn't work, try this. And then like September, October, November, or they could just do a general thing about what did you expect, what did not happen, what would you advise for the next person coming in, some resources, some tips, something like that. Like, or you can like walk them a day in the life of how your role went. So if it was like a secretary role, because most of it is the same thing every month. So you could just do something like, okay, I was taking minutes, I was taking attendance. These are the events I attended. These are the events that I helped with. So something that the next person can use on what they're trying to be like, oh, okay, what am I supposed to be doing in like September? Like what's happening? So they can look back and they're like, oh, this is what they were doing. So this is what I can do. But yeah,
Okay.
something like that.
So if you have a document, can you email it to me? And it might be something maybe we could flesh out and develop and share with all the chapters.
Yeah, we can definitely. We'll share our officers' documents with you with the headquarters.
Yeah. Okay. Good, thanks. Okay.
All right, great. Next, we'll skip down to engagement, social membership. So Keandre, if you would like to share sort of a recap of your discussion.
Yes. So, I was just, asking a little bit about what all the chapters did. As far as like engaging, seeing that my chapter is really heavy based on Instagram. A lot of chapters it's the same way. So Instagram, and they also do newsletters. So I thought that was a cool idea to incorporate also. As far as like events, they've also bonded like members have bonded outside of just like hosting the events, like going to baseball games and things like that. So I feel like that's a cool looking to do, like just do a little outside events as well, off campus. And some Indiana University, they did or IUI, they did a dance. So I thought that was a cool, engaging idea. Something real nice. And then a lot of people in my breakout room were incoming. So, they took on their leadership roles for, just involvement, meeting new people, and putting on events that their campus and students and also members will enjoy. So I thought that was cool too. And ways to keep, members and students engaged were Instagram polls and, varying those times for events and also incorporating a point system as well. So
Great. Couple things about that. So first of all, Tennessee State is doing a fabulous job on Instagram. So if you are not following their account, I just put it in
thank
chat.
you.
Really killing it, just doing really good stuff. Videos and yeah, just fun stuff, getting a ton of engagement, it seems. And many of your other the chapters here are doing a great job on Instagram as well, but it definitely is a good avenue. And Kendra, thank you for bringing up point systems, because that was, I think, part of a promise that we would talk about that. So let's just spend a minute talking about that. So I don't, there's not a whole lot of cameras on, but maybe just if you are still here with us, do a reaction. If you don't want to literally raise your hand, but how many chapters have point systems? If you're here, do you use point systems right now? Raise your virtual hand. Okay, so a bunch of you do. Okay, so it really can enhance and improve engagement of your members. So it's almost the number one concern or issue that I hear from student leaders and advisors, for that matter, is how do we engage the students? They're not coming, they don't answer, they don't respond to our emails, we host, you're all the motivated, excited student leaders and you have ideas, and then you get excited to plan something and then fewer show than you would like. So how do you get them to come out, especially post-COVID? Try and get creative. There's lots of things you could try, but point systems are becoming a very popular idea, which is basically what it sounds like. Is it does take some effort on your part to track it, but basically come up with a system where attending things, meetings or events, including, well, I'll talk about that, events, they get a point or 10 points or 100 point, whatever it is, and then whatever math you come up with, and then at the end of the year, there needs to be incentive for that. So if you, let's say it's 10 points, and so go to 10, as many events as you can, you get 10 points for each, and anyone with 100 or more points gets something. Like, you have to give them something. It has to be a prize or incentive, honor cord, honor regalia, an ALD mug or button or gift card if you can, or something. It doesn't have to be ALD related, although it's nice if it is, but some sort of incentive of something that they get for accumulating points. So that's it really in a nutshell. I think we have a page, or we have some resources on our website, and you can reach out to other chapters who are doing it. Anyone here want to share a little bit about their point system and what you do with it? Not to put you on the spot, but anybody who does it, any tips or ideas you have?
This is part of what I talked about in my breakout room.
Okay.
So we incentivize our members by giving 1 point for every, we call them General Assembly meetings that they attend, and then they get 1 point for every 2 volunteer hours that they do. And we track these in an Excel spreadsheet. And but if by the time that they graduate, they have 10 points, they get a free graduation cord, which is something that I think our members really like, because if they don't get all 10 points, then they have to buy their graduation cord. And we have quite a few people that come in and buy their graduation cord. And we have quite a few people who get them for free. So I think that that's a pretty good incentive that definitely gets people involved, because at the end of meetings, we have like 20 people coming up to us and being like, I need my points. And I'm like, okay, I'll give you your points.
Right. So they want those points. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Thank you. Ashante, point system based on meetings, community service. Yeah. 90 points gets them a cord. Yep. Okay, good. Thank you, Kendra. That was good. And Danielle, do the next group.
Okay, and actually Bethany, we're gonna, your group
yeah.
is next. So,
Keep talking about it.
historian, marketing, PR, scrapbook committee was sort of like that group. So just want to share a little bit more about what you all discussed.
Yeah, so I talked about quite a bit, just because I am in the recruitment chair, and PR is a separate chair, but I work pretty in close conjunction with them. And like said, like was said earlier, we have a member transition document that is really helpful for the e-board. We have some pretty established documents because we've been doing them for a couple years. So our leaving e-board members just kind of fill out what they did through the year and any helpful tips and any helpful like resources, like point people for volunteering, phone numbers, just anybody you need to contact is on those documents. And we share it with all of our e-board members at the beginning of the school year when new people come in. And I think that it was really helpful for me this year as a new e-board member. And then for PR, our biggest PR is going to be Instagram, which I think is the case for a lot of ALD. We also use email quite a bit, and that's how we push an email out to our members, I think at least once a month, but normally it's once a week. We try to push out volunteer events to our members. Instagram is also another way that we incentivize our members to participate because they get 1 point for submitting a picture of them in their ALD merch. They get 1 point for just simply DMing us a picture, and then we post it on our Instagram. So we get quite a bit of engagement doing that. And then our chapter is really big on volunteering. I think our volunteer events have gotten the most engagement. We volunteered and made dog and cat toys for the ASPCA this year. I just recommended that if you are in the volunteer coordinator position at your school, that you get in touch with already established organizations on your campus. We work in really close conjunction with the Honors College here on my campus, and we host volunteer events together. And I think that that's a really easy way to kind of get your chapter involved without having to establish new things. So just partnering with organizations, larger organizations on campus that are already established, I think can be a great thing for your chapter. But yeah, that's mostly what we talked about.
Yeah, thanks for mentioning that. It's something I need to do a better job of working into my pillars talk, which is everything that the Alpha Lambda Delta chapter does on your campus does not have to be new programs you've created or an idea that is brand new. Collaborate with other organizations. Some of you have, hundreds of other student organizations on campus. So if they're already doing something that fits into a pillar, announce it to your members. We're going to meet in the student union lobby and we're going to go to XYZ organization's event together. Boom, you've got a program. They can get points for it, like the whole thing. You did nothing for it. You didn't plan it at all. But you're aware of what's going on campus that other orgs are doing. So don't always feel like you have to recreate the wheel. Just collaborate with others or support other groups' events. So thanks for that, Bethany. That's good advice.
Yeah, and I'll sort of piggyback on that. I kind of watch our Instagram pretty closely, and so I do see a lot of our ALD chapters that are even just sharing what other things are happening on campus. So that's a good way to just help get the word out in case someone maybe misses it. And then maybe it's also just saying, like, getting a group of your ALD fellow members to go to something else that's happening on campus together.
Yeah.
Okay, and then last but not least, we'll wrap up with Chris with Community Service and Scholarship.
Yeah, hello, yeah, again. Sorry for that chat. It was supposed to guide me as I present the updates of our
All right.
discussion.
Good to see.
It's great that it's there, so now y'all can be cognizant of that as well. But a lot of what we discussed was around, low engagement / disinterest, leadership turnover, which is primarily what we discussed during the conference in Denver last fall.
Mhm.
So discuss more these issues in a more in-depth way than come to the conference in Chicago this fall. But I think a lot of what we discussed is what has already been touched upon. Definitely, we talked very lengthy about the transition packets, which was already mentioned. But just to elaborate on that, it's really good because it kind of resolves the issue that I think, Eileen, you mentioned earlier, which is with a chapter that had multiple Instagrams. And so with transition packets, the reason why it's so efficacious is because you have written documentation and not only the great work, that organizations have been doing or your respective chapters have been doing, but there's a lot of initiatives that are impossible to complete within a time frame. And sometimes it's more effective if you carry on the initiative throughout multiple years because the impact can therefore be bigger. So it's great to just kind of keep that documented, and that's a great way for that. And I think the issue that was covered is with transition package, you can have the Instagram login, information there, and then the incoming members or officers can access that, and therefore we won't have lost data or login information. So that's one of the solutions to that, and that's why transition packets are really great. Another thing we talked about it with respect to, engagement is and this is also, I guess, dependent upon the size of your chapter, but it's going back to the basics and thinking about, what makes people come to an event. And much of the time, they come to an event because they have a friend who is going to an event, and then they feel compelled to tag along. And then they learn about a certain organization, and then they're so interested that they cannot stop being interested, right? And I think for smaller chapters, what is great is since it's manageable and more viable, is maybe creating, like, taking some time to create handwritten invitations and personalized invitations, because that'll really be like, oh wow, like they know me, they're calling me, I have to go and present myself, and it'll be kind of that already established, welcoming space before you even meet the members. And if you're a bigger institution like mine, it's, we cannot write that many, but I think the great way for that is, just maximizing tools that we have. Email, instead of sending a general email, you can, be creative and strategic and send an email, but at least include their name. Be like, Christopher, come out, blah, blah, blah. I know that from a personal standpoint, when UCLA sends those personalized emails, I'm very quick to respond because in my mind, I'm like, oh my God, they require some sort of action from my end. So I think that really is a strategic way by which you can get that point. And then I think once the event is there, because another problem which we discussed is retention, right? We have to ensure that as officers and members, we are making sure that people feel like they're excited throughout the event. And we have to make sure that no one feels alone. So if someone is just there, making sure to go up, talk to them, step out of your comfort zone. Because if they have a bad experience, then the likelihood of returning is profoundly low. So those are just a few things we discussed, some tactics. Maximizing collaboration, right? You don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can collaborate with other events. If your chapter has low engagement, collaborate with an organization, maybe a student body, a student government entity. And then not only will you increase the personal branding that AOD is, to their population and membership, but then you'll get many people who start asking questions about ALD and get interested, and then just engagement will skyrocket, at least fingers crossed. But I'll leave it at that. But those are a few of the things we discussed.
Great. That was awesome. Yeah, really good. And I'm glad you put your bulleted list there. I think it was good. It's good talking points, and yeah, really good. Yeah, the collaboration for sure. Yeah, I love the idea of just anything you can do to personalize it and helping people not feel, more incentivized to come if they come with a friend, and once they do come, engage with them and help them feel welcome and included. I think it's nice. Okay. All right, so we're gonna do one last prompt, but I do want to just wrap it up with a couple things. So we talked about I made a couple notes to which all of you student leaders, the 4 groups already brought into play, but the point systems, we talked about collaboration, transition packages. I love the idea of that. Scrapbooks, I didn't really spend a whole lot of time on Order of the Torch, so we're gonna put one more link in chat that leads you to more information about that, but all of you could be thinking about applying. If your chapter does not regularly apply for that, it's a once a year thing. Maybe give it some thought. the deadline's in May, I think it's May, it's in less than a month, so I'm
May
not,
10th, I believe.
thank you, May 10th, yeah. So maybe there's a chance to apply by May 10th this year, but you really should have been documenting things all along. So if you have not done that, that's okay. But take a year, take the next year and apply for it in 2025. So more information on that page. And just one last thing, and I'm gonna hang back if there's anybody that wanted to chat or ask more questions that didn't get answered. But as we wrap up, I just wanted, and I should have started with this, so I'll end with this. I don't know that I emphasize this enough, how much you are appreciated. So thank you for taking on a leadership role, whether you're outgoing, incoming, both, all of you. You are just sort of the backbone of what Alpha Lambda Delta, you know, the chapter activity, chapter engagement, all is so influenced by you, and that influences the national organization in such a big way. So we rely on student leaders, we rely on chapter activities. We're so grateful that students are raising their hand to say they want to take on a leadership role. So thank you for that. Even especially as Chris said, if it's stepping out of your comfort zone, good for you. We are here to support you though. So we, Danielle and I and Christine in the national office want to do everything and anything we can to help you. If this was not helpful for you, and I hope, you know, it might not have been, there might have been some of you who, you know, maybe you're not getting enough out of this, please reach out to us and let us know what we can do, if we can help. I would love to meet with officer teams. If you ever want that, pick a day and time when you all are together. It can be in the middle of the night. It doesn't, I'm a night owl, so it could be late at night. I will meet just with your team, like on Zoom, not, although maybe I'll come to your campus, but I would do a whole session just with your officer team if you'd like. So keep that in mind for next year. So thank you so much for all that you do, for being here, for being committed to Alpha Lambda Delta. We cannot thank you enough, and really appreciate all your efforts.